Hello everyone, today we continue watching an Indonesian horror film. The movie Ghost Dance Village, Origin of the Main Meat, starts with a few girls dancing in the hall. In front there is a woman chanting a spell. The general idea is to let the spiritual ruler choose a dancer from these girls. From the pale white eyes of the girls, it's not hard to see that they are not dancing on their own. They should be controlled by the ruler. Suddenly the girls fell one by one. The last one remaining should be the chosen one. At this moment, the woman reciting the incantation slowly stood up, looking at the final girl with apparent reluctance. However, in the next second, a strange noise came from behind. The woman hurriedly opened the iron box behind her, revealing a silver snake bracelet inside. The scene shifts, and the woman is holding the iron box, searching for someone. A man and a woman then told the girl to quickly leave the village with the iron box. The man beside her seemed to realize that the plan had already succeeded. He urgently called the girl to run quickly, but as soon as they reached a cornfield, the man heard some noise not far away and told the girl to run ahead by herself. Although the girl was very scared, she could only do as told. But as soon as he left, a large group of monsters rushed at the man from the cornfield. The girl had just run into the jungle when she suddenly slipped and fell. Getting up, the first thing she did was check that hand and foot. However, just after putting it into the metal box, she was ready to continue. Suddenly, a lavishly dressed woman appeared behind her. She was the ruler of this forest, the ghostly dancer. She kept demanding the girl hand over the silver bracelet, saying it was not something she could control. However, the girl was not swayed, put on the bracelet, and turned to flee the forest. The ghostly dancer seemed unable to escape and could only stand there helplessly, roaring in anger. Time quickly passed to 25 years later. The girl who escaped back then had become Ubasal, but for some reason, something strange suddenly happened. Her daughter Mira sought out a renowned local doctor, yet they still couldn't. To heal her, they had to call a sorcerer to treat the mother. Surprisingly, he was quite capable. After seeing the mother's symptoms, he was frightened but casually drew some pictures of the mother's hometown, Oni Dance Village. Then he pointed to a cabinet and said it was something inside that had turned her mother into this. When Mira opened the cabinet, she indeed found that silver bracelet from years ago. The sorcerer then told her that to cure her mother's illness, the bracelet must be returned as soon as possible. So, accompanied by 3 male friends, Mira went to Ghost Dance Village. But as soon as she arrived at the village entrance, Mira felt the surroundings were very eerie, and none of them noticed that the ghostly dancer was living in the woods. They soon entered the village, and Mila, eager to return the bracelet, randomly asked a passerby for the village chief's residence. Unfortunately, the chief had gone out, and it was unclear when he would return. Helplessly, they stopped at the village's watch station, but it was just a pavilion without even windows, obviously unsuitable for Mila, a girl, to stay. Fortunately, a kind villager offered her accommodation. Everything seemed to be going smoothly, but in the evening, strange things began to happen one after another. First, when the 3 men were sleeping at the watch post, a group of bare-chested villagers suddenly headed towards the woods. The next second, the oil lamps they had lit began to extinguish. The long-haired man discovered it and was about to light it when unexpectedly an elderly man who had fallen behind walked slowly toward him. Fortunately, the moment the oil lamp was lit, he disappeared again. Clearly, the elderly man, like the group of shirtless men who went up the mountain earlier, was not human. On the other side, Mira, who was sleeping, was also awakened by a sound. She immediately got out of bed to investigate and ended up seeing a critically ill woman in the next room with symptoms just like her own. Just then, the door slowly opened and Mina turned her head, seeing the ghost dancer in the corner.
There's a seagull belonging to someone else.
Mina was both frightened and intensely suspicious of this woman. She instinctively stepped back slowly. Fortunately, the woman did nothing to her, just suddenly slammed the door shut again. The frightened Mina quickly ran back to her room. The next day, she saw Lati taking care of the woman in bed, who turned out to be Lati's mother. At this point, her condition was clearly worse, not only spitting blood from her mouth but also with many pustules appearing on her body. Given that her own mother had similar symptoms, Mina carefully asked Lati and found out that Lati's mother's onset time was almost the same as her own mother's. Mina felt this was definitely not a coincidence. So to uncover the truth, she took out the drawings given by the wizard and even showed Lati the silver bracelet. Although she didn't recognize the bracelet or the drawings, but she recognized one of the paintings as depicting the forbidden area in the village, where no one is allowed without the village chief's permission. Entering so, now it seems we can only continue waiting for the village chief to return. At this time, the long-haired guy who slept outside all night and the others, suddenly they knocked on the door saying they wanted to find a place to take a shower. So the group of 5 went together. Of course, they didn't shower together. Letty took Mila to see a female doctor specifically. She also said, this used to be the place where the village dancers purified themselves, but it hasn't been used for over 20 years. When Mira entered the cubicle to shower, she suddenly heard singing. She thought it was next door, but through the gap, she saw La standing there in a daze, unaware that a small snake had appeared in the sink behind her. She knocked the ladle to the ground of Pasiyisi, so the ladle to the taunt, and Mila decided to ignore the singing and turned to continue showering. However, just as she stepped out of the cubicle, Dai was already soaking in the auto pool and was urging her to hurry up, but until Mira got into the pool, she always Without turning back, Mira vaguely sensed something was off, so she didn't go over to look for her. Gladys suddenly seemed like a different person, slowly approaching her, and with a turn, she directly transformed into that ghost dancer. But it only said one sentence, "Give up, punch, give me back the bracelet," and then disappeared again. Mira was completely terrified by this scene. Just then, another small snake appeared in front, and a sudden strange force pulled her directly into the water, which was already filled with small snakes. Fortunately, at the critical moment, the real Radhi arrived in time, and she was not drowned. They once saw the village chief transform into a big black dog. When in danger, his eyes would even emit a red light. Others naturally wouldn't believe such an outrageous thing, thinking the boy was just scaring them. But when they found Mira, they heard about his terrifying experience while bathing, so someone wanted to leave. However, Mira, to save his mother, decided to stay one more night in the village, and they reluctantly agreed. But that night, unable to sleep, Mira suddenly heard strange noises. Later, he saw that it was Lady rummaging through his own bag, but Lady claimed it was an accident, and Mila didn't think much of it. Unexpectedly, a strange singing voice came from outside the next moment. Lady said that the singing came from the forbidden area, and perhaps the village chief had returned. If they now give the hands to him, their mothers might recover. So they hurriedly went to the forbidden area with lanterns but did not find the village chief, only a group of shirtless men dancing. Leading the dance was the mysterious ghost dance bird. He seemed to have been waiting for a while and waved his sleeve in front of Mira. But then Lady said something completely unexpected.
Grandma, let me wipe it for you.
It turns out that when Lati was taking a shower in Dunny Lee's place, the demon dancer found her and promised that if she could persuade Mira to return the bracelet, her mother's illness would be cured. That was why she betrayed Mira. In fact, the sorcerer who initially brought Mira here was also under the demon dancer's manipulation. At this point, Mira had no choice but to hand over the silver bracelet, hoping that this ghost dancer would keep the promise regarding their mother. When Kung Fu and the two others returned to Ratigari, they discovered that his mother's condition had not only failed to improve but had worsened. At this time, the village chief they had been searching for finally returned, and he was the man who had escorted Mira's mother away years ago. Only then did they learn the full truth from 25 years ago. Turns out this village, each year a dancer must be sacrificed to the ghost dancer, entering a space to become its slave. At that time, Grandma Mila, the village chief, used her twin daughters, sacrificing one to become the ghost dancer's dancer, and took the opportunity to steal its bracelet. Then she had the other daughter, Mila's mother, take the bracelet out of the village. This way the ghost dancer's power would be weakened, and Mila's grandma, being a witch herself, could resist it. Prevent the ghost dancer from continuing to come to the village to select dancers. Until not long ago, he unfortunately passed away. Without the duck, the ghost dancer began to ravage the village again. The sorcerer, in order to retrieve the silver bracelet, also cursed Mila's mother, who was out of town. Ultimately, he tricked the bracelet back step by step from Mila's hands. But the ghost dancer's true goal was still that yearly dancer. If the villagers do not offer sacrifices, the ghost dancer will harm their family some crop. Now, although the elder wizard is also a sorcerer, he doesn't have the power to confront the fully powered ghost dancer. Therefore, they want to prevent the tragedy from continuing. Even Mira and Radhi's mother thought they should hold the ceremony again, sacrificing a dancer to the ghost dancer. It would be best to take away her accessory like before. So the next day, they selected 7 girls from the village, and both Mira and Radhi volunteered to join. They then entered the forbidden area under the village chief's guidance and began the sacrificial ritual.
Hey, what's going?
After the convulsions, when Mira wakes up again, she has entered the space of the ghost dancer, and they gracefully dance uncontrollably. The demon slaves of the ghost dancer nearby were also excitedly dancing along. Soon after, the girls began falling down one by one. Clearly, they were not chosen by the ghost dancer. Only Mira and Lati were still dancing. But somehow, the two kept dancing into the evening without a winner being decided. In fact, the ghost dancer wanted both, but Mira only wanted to leave. Seeing that the ghost dancer was already on guard, she used her strong willpower to return to reality once again. However, the ghost dancer was not about to let her go so easily, and forcibly pulled her back into another dimension the very next second. The old witch Jianzhuang immediately realized something was wrong, so she hurriedly covered them with fruit cloth. Although they didn't return to reality, their figures vanished in front of the ghost dancer. Seeing that the duck she had in hand was flying away, she immediately dispatched a large number of... The evil spirit went to look for the two, while in reality Old Wu had already brought them back to Letty's house and arranged for others to sprinkle kitchen salt around the room to prevent the evil spirit from entering. After these preparations, Old Wu once again uncovered the fruit cloth on Mira. Mira's soul then awoke again in the alternate space, and although she did not find the ghostly dancer, she saw many snakes, insects, rats, and also many corpses covered with white cloth, as well as some dreadful black smoke creatures. After Mila fell and got up, she was gradually pushed into a hall by numerous dancers who had been previously sacrificed here. The mysterious dancer had already been waiting here for a long time. With a casual wave of her hand, those young female dancers quickly surrounded Mila and started dancing. Among them, the lead dancer was none other than Lady, who was forced to perform. Furthermore, the mysterious dancer also summoned Mila's mother's lead dance. In order to punish her for stealing the bracelet back then, she was subjected to unbearable torture. Mila wanted to rush to save her mother, but was forcefully held back by the dancers, who could only watch helplessly as her mother suffered, unable to do anything. At this moment, in reality, both Mira and Lati's bodies